Yes, we are here. Welcome back. Another episode of SRL. I am your host, Sports King, as you all should know by now. And I'm just going to go ahead and recap week 3 in the NFL. I must say, I am very disappointed in my predictions. This has been by far so far the worst week I have so far, and major improvement is needed on my behalf. If you mention my predictions, go ahead and look into my predictions. I did a video on that last week, and I was certain that I was going to come out with being victorious. But needless to say, I ended the week at 7-9. Yes, 7-9. So yes, I'm definitely disappointed. A lot of matchups that happened that I really thought was in my favor did not turn out to be in my favor. So yes, we're gonna definitely get into it. You know the slogan. Let's talk about it. So yeah, let's definitely talk about it. So let's go into the Thursday night game as I mentioned before, which was against the Jets and the Browns. The Browns came up victorious in that game, giving them their first win of the season, going into 1-1-1, and then the Jets now are 1-2. Looking at that game, as I mentioned before in my previous blog, I don't know what we're going to do with the Jets. Sam Darnold, 15 out of 31, 169 yards, two interceptions. However, Baker Mayfield definitely came out, and he showed up to me. 17 out of 23, 201 yards. Can we go ahead and just start Baker Mayfield? Is it too early to say that? I'm definitely thinking that he's ready. I really feel like he's ready for the big lights. He likes to shine in the big lights. And looking at the offensive rhythm, it looked like he really rallied the troops, and they really was it seemed as though they really got along. It looked like it was genuine. It was authentic, and they really had a great bond. Looking at that offensive rhythm, looking at them, and as I mentioned even before, I really think that the Browns are going to be a force to be reckoned with a little bit this year. I know a lot of people say that's far fetched, but I don't know. It just really looked like those core guys. They really have a lot. I'm really been impressed with Antonio Callaway, even though he had his past transgressions. He really looked like he's really been. He let that go, and it looked like he's gonna flourish this season as a rookie. So yeah, just really look out for the Browns as they continue to move forward. They'll definitely be making a lot of noise. But yeah, let's get into the Sunday night action. Okay, so Sunday night we had the Bears and the Cardinals. The Bears and the Cardinals, interesting matchup. I did win in that matchup. I had I predicted the Bears to win, which they did, 16 out of 14. Looking at the matchup with the quarterback play, the Bears. I mean, he was a little bit impressive in Trubisky. He was 24 out of 35, 220 yards, and one interception. However, looking at that matchup, I mean, it was a really to me an entertaining game. That was just a matchup of who makes the least mistakes in my opinion. And the Bears, they definitely came out victorious, and they needed that win. So I did start off at 1-0, but congratulations to the Bears, much needed win. The next matchup after that was the Lions and the Patriots. Now, as you know, I predicted the Patriots to win. I disrespected the Lions. I said it's a no-brainer. It should be easy. Tom Brady's upset of what happened prior week with the Jags, and they're going to come out and they're going to be victorious. Boy, was I wrong. I apologize to all my Lions fans because they came out and they came to play. Looking at that matchup, the score in it 26-10. Matt Stafford 27 out of 36, 262 yards, two touchdowns, one interceptions. And Tom Brady, 14 out of 26, 133 yards, one touchdown, one interception. The Lions now are 1-2. The Pats are now 1-2. Really looking at that game, I must say, man, I've been impressed with the Lions and their defense. I mean, Tom Brady really couldn't do nothing. The defense was giving him pressure, throughout the entirety of the game. They really had a great game plan against him. Rob Gronkowski, who's really his major target, didn't have that many receptions, didn't have that many yards. So give a lot of kudos to the Lions, their defense, and the defensive staff. So, much needed win, and they got to win in that fashion against the Patriots. So good win. So yes, I did lose in that matchup. Next, we have the Monday night game, which I'll save for last. But we had the Browns and the Jets, as I mentioned. That was a good game. And then now the Bills and the Vikings. Looking at that matchup with the Bills and Vikings, the Bills are 1-2 now. The Vikings 1-1. The Bills did come victorious. I did lose in that matchup. Looking at that matchup, Josh Allen really looked great on the road. 15 out of 22, 196 yards, one touchdown. Kirk Cousins, 40 out of 55, 296 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Looking at that game, I'm gonna say they really didn't have any type of trust in the running game. I mean, all the Vikings were doing was just really airing out the ball. And if you notice, it really wasn't working for them throughout that game. I must go ahead and tip my hat off to Josh Allen. He really looked good on the road as a rookie. Great win. The Bills needed that win, and I did lose in that matchup, but great win for the Bills. Next, we have the Giants and the Texans. As you know, I predicted the Giants to win, giving them their first win. I said I would never really roll with the Texans. Of course, it was a joke, but who knows? And last week, I did not roll with the Texans. I just don't know about the Texans. Now they're 0-3. To be honest, looking at that, when I was watching that game, they were calling for the coach Hedge, his job. The fans were basically saying, "Hey, get Bill out of there." So, what are we going to do with the Texas man? What That's a question I pose. What are we going to do? Because right now, going to 0-3 with a young quarterback in Deshaun Watson. I mean, looking at that matchup, he didn't look too bad. I mean, he ended fairly well with his stat line: 24 out of 40, 385 yards, two touchdowns, one interceptions. But give kudos to Eli Manning. Eli Manning had a perfect game, 25 out of 29, threw over almost 300 yards, two touchdowns. Even Saquon Barkley had a great game. So looking at that, I must say the Giants needed to win. They definitely got the win of the first season of the game. Now they're 1-2, and I look forward to hearing more for the Giants. But I have major concerns with the Texans, and do not be surprised if they make a move quickly on their head coach. So yeah, if you think so, leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Next, we had the Redskins and the Packers. Looking at that matchup, I had the Packers to win, but you take your hats off to the Redskins, defeating the Packers 31-17. Adrian Peterson. Can we talk about AP for a minute? Adrian Peterson. He came to play. I mean, he looked like that old Adrian Peterson for Minnesota. So looking at his stat line, I mean, 19 touches, 120 yards, two touchdowns. I mean, great win. Aaron Rodgers came out 27 out of 44, 265 yards. He threw for two touchdowns, but it just wasn't enough. So now the Packers are 1-1. The Redskins now are 2-1. Great win. I really was impressed with Adrian Peterson. He really looked like he's moved. He wants to prove something this year. He's basically saying age ain't nothing but a number. I still got it. So great win for the Redskins. Bad on my end for predicting the Packers to win. Next, we have the Chiefs and the 49ers. Chiefs came out, now they're 3-0, 38-27. 49ers now are 1-2. Patrick Mahomes. I keep on mentioning this young man's name. Let it resonate, people. Let it resonate. Came to play. I mean, he looked phenomenal. 24 out of 38, 314 yards, three touchdowns. And I must say, right now, the Chiefs, to me, they're another team that's forced to be reckoned with. I mean, he just looks great, man. From the offensive standpoint to the defensive standpoint, the camaraderie on that team, it looks like they just all are on board and they all got something they're trying to prove this year. Look out for the Chiefs. I know it's still early in the season, but The way they started off and the way Patrick Mahomes is playing, he is playing for that MVP award. So great win for the Chiefs. Jimmy G, come on, Jimmy G. You played subpar that game, Jimmy G. So we need a little bit more for you and the whole offensive unit. All right. Next, we had the Raiders and the Dolphins. Dolphins came victorious 28-20. Let's go ahead and just clap it up for the Dolphins. As I mentioned, man, I always throw that disclaimer out there. Win, lose, or draw, I'm going to go with the Dolphins. And they came up, showed out, was very impressed with what I saw. Great win for the Dolphins. Looking at the stat line for Ryan Tannehill, 17 out of 23, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derek Carr, he threw for 2 interceptions. He threw over for 300 yards, of course, but just wasn't enough. And I was really impressed with the Dolphins, first in their division. Let's just see. The question is, let's see how long they're able to keep up this momentum. That would be the question. Let's just see how long it will last. But needless to say, let's enjoy the moment for now. Great win for the Dolphins. Next, we had the Colts and the Eagles. I predicted the Eagles to win, but the Colts came out. Excuse me, pardon me. I predicted the Colts to win, but the Eagles were victorious, 20-16. Looking at the stat line, I was really impressed with Andrew Luck. I mean, he threw for a lot, 25 out of 40. But needless to say, he got the job. Got the job done. But it just wasn't enough. The Eagles came, they were victorious, great win in that matchup, and just really look out for more for the Eagles in that matchup. Great win for those guys. Next was the Titans and the Jaguars. I must say, it was just a low scoring game, of course, but it wasn't. If you were in the stands, you were just sitting there like, when are we going to make a move? Who's going to score? What is going on? Who's moving the ball? Nothing is being done. Nothing was being done from both sides. The score ended up being 9-6, and really, it really wasn't impressive at all. I mean, the kicker Ryan he was 3 out of 4, so he was able to get the Titans a win, improving to 2-1, and now the Jaguars are 2-1. So I did predict the Jaguars to win in that game, but just wasn't enough. They couldn't get no type of offensive rhythm going on with Blake Bortles and those guys. So defensive wise, they still stood solid, but offensive they just didn't have any type of rhythm going on. Next was the Ravens and the Broncos. I did predict the Broncos to win, but the Ravens were victorious, 27 out of 14. Joe Flacco, he threw for over 200 yards, 1 touchdown. Casey Keenum, he threw for only 192 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But I got to give kudos to the Ravens. They really looked good in that game. They really stood out, giving the Broncos the first loss. They also came with a great game plan, in my opinion. And they really came and they looked like they were really in sync and in rhythm. All 4 quarters. If you look at all 4 quarters from start to finish, they were just in sync. And that's one thing that was really impressive. So great win. Let's see what happens next week. Next was, to me, maybe the game of the week, which was the Saints and the Falcons. Game going into overtime. Great win. It was 43-37. I'm looking at that matchup. It seems like when these two always play, it always goes down to the wire. And Drew Brees hit a spin move. Did you guys see that spin move? If not, look right there. That spin move, Drew Brees, he's showing, yeah, at my age, I still definitely got it. So great win for the Saints. I definitely know they needed this win. I challenged them last week saying their defense really didn't look impressive. I mean, I still really wasn't impressed as much, but the offensive standpoint, they definitely still got the job done in overtime with a great win. I know all the Saints fans were standing on their feet like, what's about to happen? And they came and they were victorious. Great win for the Saints. Next was the Chargers and the Rams. I did get a win in this. I predicted the Rams to win 35-23, which was a great win. Todd Gurley looked great in that game. 23 touches, 105 yards. Great win for those guys. And now I really feel like the Rams, I think Rams, as I mentioned, they're solidified. I mean, they're letting you guys know, hey, We came here and we come to play and we come to make our mark. So look for the Rams to definitely make some noise this year as the week progresses and things are getting a little bit more difficult. This is where true competition begins. So the Rams look like they're definitely in there and they're here to stay. So great win for the Rams. Next was the Cowboys and the Seahawks. The Cowboys, I predicted them to win, but the Seahawks, they were victorious 24 out of 13. Russell Wilson 16 out of 26, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott had a great game. He had over 100 yards running. Now they're both 1-2. Looking at this matchup, I was just like, wow, I really felt like, you know what, the Seahawks, they're gonna pick it up. They know what they need to do. They got it together. Russell Wilson, he rallied the troops. They know what needs to be done to execute this game. But take your hats off. Hey, that's what football is about. Any given Sunday, any given Sunday. Just this Sunday wasn't my Sunday. As I mentioned, and last but not least was our Monday night game, the Steelers and the Bucks. I did predict the Buccaneers to be victorious, but you have to take your hats off. The Steelers came, they executed, and they got the job done, improving to 1-1-1. Looking at the stat line in that matchup, I was really impressed. The Buccaneers, one thing that was concerning was Ryan Fitzpatrick, 30 out of 50, 411 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But Big Ben, he threw for 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and that was something that they were looking at because they felt like Big Ben was throwing too many interceptions in the first 2 weeks. But it looked like he definitely made the necessary adjustments to get the job done. So great win for the Steelers. I definitely think they needed that win going into next week, and we're gonna see with the Buccaneers. I don't know what just happened. Ryan Fitzpatrick looked great last week. Now, yesterday he just looked like he didn't understand anything that was being thrown at him from a defensive scheme. So yeah, that's it for this week. As I mentioned, I was disappointed in myself. But you never know. I'm gonna definitely bounce back next week. I have faith. This is what it's about. Week by week predictions. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this page. So for the season, Sports King stands at 24, 22, and 2. 24, 22, and 2. So yeah, I definitely have some room to grow. But I'm excited. It's been a great week so far. Great NFL season so far. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this page. Salute. I'm chiming out, and you know the slogan. Let's talk about it.